Hello everyone, welcome back to Into Sports. I'm your host Evan, and it's hard to believe, but there's only 3 games left in the NFL season. 2 of them are this weekend. So I'm going to predict those games, I'm going to explain why I think my predictions will happen, and also give you my updated Super Bowl prediction. Last week in the divisional round was not my best week for predictions. I was 1-3 in reality and 0-4 against the spread. Thank goodness I didn't put money on those games. So just to recap, I picked the Indianapolis Colts to go on the road and upset the number 1 seeded Chiefs in a close, high-scoring battle. But that did not happen at all. Kansas City got off to a hot start. Indianapolis couldn't do anything really until the second half. Then they started to move the ball in garbage time. Chiefs got out to a big lead. They held it. And I was very surprised that the Colts couldn't get the run game going with Marlon Mack and that really good offensive line. And also Luck did not look good at all. T.Y. Hilton didn't look healthy. And really, the Kansas City defense looked excellent. That was the thing that really shocked me the most out of the whole weekend. I took another upset, Dallas, the 4 seed, to go on the road into LA to take on the 2 seed Rams and win. The Rams played really physical football. They ran the ball extremely well, a lot better than I thought. Dallas looked soft, and they lost the game handily. The Rams only won by 8, but it was really controlled by Los Angeles the whole game. There was really no question about who's going to win it after the first quarter. My third upset was that the Los Angeles Chargers would go into Foxborough in New England and pull off an upset in a low-scoring game. Nope. New England ran away with it. They dominated the first half. LA came back a little bit, made the scoreboard look a bit better. But once again, garbage time play. Now, even after seeing that game, I do think the Los Angeles Chargers have the best personnel, have the best roster on paper in the National Football League. But they also had to travel to Baltimore, beat the Ravens. That's going across the country from LA to Baltimore. Then you have to fly back to Los Angeles. Then you have to go all the way up to Foxborough to play the Patriots a week later when the Patriots had 2 weeks of rest. But I think the huge thing was that the Patriots coaching is miles above the Chargers coaching. Gus Bradley tried to do his just standard drop back into a zone using 6 defensive backs. But New England is not a very good vertical passing team. They do a lot of dink and dunk, underneath, run game. That's how they win. They win the time of possession. But they still dropped into zone almost every play. They didn't play man. They didn't pressure Julian Edelman, James White at the line of scrimmage. They didn't make adjustments defensively. And offensively, New England set the house on every play. Didn't even give safety help. Cover 0 every time. Chargers' slightly weak offensive line got absolutely exposed. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams could not get separation, and Rivers kept getting sacked over and over and over again. Also, they couldn't establish the run with Melvin Gordon. My only correct pick of the weekend was I did have the New Orleans Saints beating the number 6 seed Philadelphia Eagles. It was closer than I expected. Saints got down 14-0. They did a fake punt. They came back. They didn't let Philadelphia score the rest of the game. They dropped 20 in a row. But I was not expecting the Saints to look like they were sleepwalking in the first quarter of this game. But besides that, they absolutely dominated. So now let's get into this week's predictions on Sunday, January 20th, 3:05 p.m. Eastern, of course. The number 2 seed LA Rams at a 14-3 record go into the Dome to play New Orleans. The number 1 seed at a 14-3 record also. New Orleans 3.5-point favorites with a 57-point over-under. Vegas is expecting points in a close game. In Week 9, these 2 teams played, and New Orleans won 45-35 in a very entertaining game, one of the best games of the year thus far. But quite a bit has changed since then. Sheldon Rankins, really good defensive tackle for New Orleans, tore his Achilles in that game. That is a huge negative for the Saints. And in Week 9, Cooper Kupp played, their Rams wide receiver, slot wide receiver, but has since tore his ACL. Aqib Talib did not play in the first meeting. The excellent Rams cornerback will be playing in this game. And the final injury of note, Ben Watson, Saints tight end. In his final year, he will retire after the Saints season ends. Is currently battling appendicitis. He has been in the hospital. The hope is to avoid surgery, but he will not be ready for this game he could play in the Super Bowl if New Orleans does get there. So without further ado, my pick. I'm going to take New Orleans 28-27 to win in an absolute dogfight of a game. The Saints have been in a little bit of a slump recently, since a little bit after that first game against the Rams. They started to go downhill, haven't been scoring as many points. The defense has played well, while the Rams went into a slump after that game. But they've since rose back up. They played a really good game against Dallas, and it started with the run game. Now my question is, can the Saints shut down the run? Last week against Dallas, Todd Gurley, 16 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. And C.J. Anderson, 23 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was an extremely dominant run game. In the first meeting, Todd Gurley only had 13 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. They had to abandon the run game because they got down early. That's why he only had 13 carries. But I am expecting him to have more carries in this meeting. C.J. Anderson getting 23 carries told me that Todd Gurley may not be up to full strength yet. He's still battling that knee injury, but I expect full workload from him. A little sprinkle in of C.J. Anderson, but primarily Todd Gurley as the lead back. Rams have a really good offensive line. That was shown against Dallas. They just played really physical and stopped that Dallas front. Not many teams have been able to do that thus far. But then you have the second-ranked run defense in the league in the New Orleans Saints. But put an apostrophe next to that second rating because a lot of that was due to Sheldon Rankins. Absolutely dominant run stuffer. As an interior defensive lineman, I mentioned he has a torn Achilles, so he won't be playing in this game. It's a serious concern for New Orleans because if they did have Rankins, I think this game would go a different way. I think that it has to be more Goff, but I think they can lean on Gurley a little bit more now. But that being said, Jared Goff is still going to have to make plays. And where is he going to make those plays? Brandon Cooks. Now he's going to receive some shadow coverage from Marshawn Lattimore. Lattimore last week, 2 interceptions, really the hero of that game for the Saints. But in the first meeting, Brandon Cooks, 6 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Ever since Cooper Kupp has gone down with his torn ACL, Cooks has ironically been less effective. That will allow Dennis Allen and the Saints play calling and defense to kind of key in more on Brandon Cooks, stopping him versus having to worry about Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Brandon Cooks. But don't forget about Robert Woods. He's had a career year, and he's been playing a little bit more in the slot since the Cooper Kupp injury. When he is in the slot, he will see a lot of P.J. Williams, and when he goes outside, he'll see some Eli Apple. Eli Apple has been playing a lot better as of late, although he still struggles with being a little bit undisciplined, so we'll see if Woods can take advantage of that. Now it is worth noting, Goff has been a little bit worse on the road, but last time in New Orleans, he had a very solid game. Threw for 391 yards and 3 touchdowns, but since then has not really been finding the end zone. Defensively for the Rams, it's going to be all about stopping Michael Thomas. Stopping is really the wrong word, because it's more about limiting him, because he had 12 receptions, 211 yards, and a touchdown in the first meeting. He saw a lot of Marcus Peters in that game, but now Talib is healthy, so I expect him to be shadowed by Talib with a little bit of safety help by John Johnson, some high-low action. We have Talib playing underneath and John Johnson playing over at the top to limit the big play. That's just what I would expect to see from Wade Phillips and his defense. Because you have to double him, considering that last week, 12 receptions, 171 yards, and a touchdown versus Philadelphia, and they didn't double him for most of the game. But with all the attention on Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, he could hit the deep ball. Now, Breeze missed him last game on the first play of the game for New Orleans offensively. Barely missed him, ended up in an interception. But I have a feeling that Ginn is going to play a huge factor in this game. And one last thing to mention in the receiving game, with Ben Watson out, he's one of the best ever people to play the game of football. What he does with his community, the kind of teammate he is off the field. But they're also going to miss him with the X's and O's. I expect Dan Arnold to be active because of that, a young tight end. And the Rams, they got to keep him in the back of their mind. You know, Sean Payton, he's a mastermind. He could scheme something up for Dan Arnold. We know how good Alvin Kamara is. 3 touchdowns in the first meeting, though. We're definitely going to be needing him in this game because I think the Saints need to win the time of possession. They had a beautiful 11-minute drive against the Eagles. That was really the difference in that game. But don't sleep on this Rams defensive line. Not that anyone is. Because it features Aaron Donald, Dante Fowler Jr., and Ndamukong Suh. So it's going to be tough for Kamara and Ingram to get it going. But I think they can because of how good the Saints offensive line is and how good of a running backs they are. Not only are the Saints going to have to run through Aaron Donald, the best player on the defensive side of the ball in the National Football League, but they're going to have to block him. And the interior pressure that he provides, Breeze, that's where he struggles because he needs to step up into the pocket. And if he gets interior pressure, he's going to have to flush to the outside of the pocket, which is not his specialty. But in the first game, the Saints did manage to limit Aaron Donald, his effect on the game, so they're going to need to do it again. That's something that's much easier to say into a microphone than to actually do in real life. Now, I said 28-27 Saints. So I'm saying it could be a really close game. So the difference could be a play by Taysom Hill in the run game, or if they get him to throw a deep pass, because they've been running it all year long when he's on the field. But I think they're saving it up for a big play in the late rounds of the playoffs with him throwing it downfield. He did it against Philadelphia. I expect to maybe see it again. And also, there's a special teams play in this game. I would not recommend getting out of your seat and, getting some food, getting snacks, going to the bathroom, whatever. Because something like a fake punt could be the deciding factor in this game. Both teams are really good at the fake punts, and they're not afraid to do them. Because you have two really bold coaches in Sean Payton and Sean McVay, two of the best in the league. Both offensive gurus, offensive geniuses. They're willing to take risks. On the NFC side of the bracket, I have the New Orleans Saints advancing to the Super Bowl. But the question is, who will I have joining them? And that leads us to the 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. The number 2 seed Patriots, with a record of 12-5, go into Arrowhead Stadium to take on the number 1 seed, the Chiefs, who have a 13-4 record. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites with a 56-point over-under. These teams collided in Week 6 at Foxborough, where the Patriots won 43-40 on a Sunday Night Football shootout. Like I mentioned, that game was in New England. This game is in Kansas City. And on the road, the Patriots are 3-5. At home, they're 9-0. So that is a huge factor. 2 key injury updates for the Kansas City side of the ball. Eric Berry, their elite safety, will play for only, I believe, the 3rd time this year. And Spencer Ware was practicing in full on Thursday, so I think that means he'll play. But again, I hate to say it, we're monitoring a soft tissue issue because he has a hamstring injury that has been lingering for weeks. And in his absence, he's let the lead back role slip away from him to the hands of Damian Williams. Earlier in the week, we were looking at the weather report, and there was suspected to be a quote-unquote Arctic blast with temperatures potentially as low as negative 15 degrees. But actually, they're going to be in the low 20s, about 19 or 20 degrees consistently the whole game. I know I was 1-3 last week with my picks, but I'm feeling pretty confident about them this week with both games. And I'm going to take the Patriots to win 30-27. In order to win, first thing on the checklist, they got to stop Tyreek Hill. In the first meeting, 7 receptions, 142 yards, 3 touchdowns. But I suspect New England will have an answer. That answer is Stephon Gilmore. He shadowed Keenan Allen everywhere, even in the slot, which most cornerbacks don't do. They don't travel to the slot. They mainly stay outside. But he followed them there. Chargers star wide receiver only had 2 receptions. Now he did have about 75 yards because Gilmore did get burnt on that big play for the touchdown. It was an amazing route run by Keenan Allen, but that was the only time Gilmore got burned. A first-team All-Pro, allowing Keenan Allen to get 2 receptions. Stephon Gilmore is truly elite. So if anyone can stop Tyreek Hill, it's probably going to be him. Now you're probably saying, well, why did he have 7 receptions, 143 yards, and 3 touchdowns if Gilmore's really this good? But in Week 6, Bill Belichick made the executive decision to focus on Travis Kelce and not Tyreek Hill. And believe me, that's not what he will do this game. In Week 6, Travis Kelce, 5 receptions for 61 yards. That's a subpar game for him. but I think he will have a monster game with all the attention on Tyreek Hill. He's the best tight end in the league. And the Patriots and Brian Flores, Bill Belichick, they have to pick their poison. Do they want to focus in on Travis Kelce and give it up to Tyreek Hill? Or do they want to focus on Tyreek Hill and give it up to Travis Kelce? Now, I hate to bring it up, but we all know what happened with Kareem Hunt. We all know what he was on the field, a really good running back. We, of course, know the off-the-field stuff. We will see if he gets a second chance in the NFL. But he did play in Week 6 against the Patriots for the Kansas City Chiefs. He had 185 yards and a touchdown. Since his departure, Damian Williams has stepped up very nicely into his role. Against Indianapolis, 25 carries, 129 yards and a touchdown, with 25 yards through the air. New England will have to slow him down. And for Kansas City, he's going to have to get going. Because I don't think Mahomes can drop back 50 times and try to win this game. They have to have a little balance at least. Now, all year I've been roasting the Chiefs' defense, specifically their secondary, because they give up 35 points on the road, but they only give up 18 at home. Normally when I talk about the Chiefs, I say, everyone on the opposing team is going to light it up. If you're playing fantasy, start everyone. But they're playing at home. So I'm not expecting blow-up games from Julian Edelman for Sony Michel for James White. But they're going to have to stop the run. They bottled it up last week. Marlon Mack only 46 yards. And Sony Michel, 24 carries, 129 yards, and 3 touchdowns versus the Chargers. If he does that again, Patriots are winning this game without question. And in the other meeting between these two teams, he had 24 carries, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But Chris Jones, defensive tackle for Kansas City, is a really good run stuffer. Patriots are going to need to be able to run the ball with Sony Michel. He's going to need to have a really good game because New England relies on run game and some dink and dunk action because ever since Josh Gordon left the team, Brady has 0 weapons to throw to in the vertical passing game down the field. Edelman's great, but he's not a downfield receiver. He's more of a give you a first down, give you 8, 9, 10 yards receiver. That's a little bit of a good thing for New England because Kansas City, the best part of their defense is their pass rush. Dee Ford, Justin Houston, Chris Jones, and Brady has the worst passer rating in the league against the blitz this year. So he's going to have to get it out quick in this game. Most of it will be underneath to James White and to Julian Edelman. Kansas City has a superior roster, but Bill Belichick, his offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, and his defensive play caller Brian Flores, I trust them too much to pick Kansas City in this football game, despite being on the road. So I'm taking New England, the Patriots, unfortunately, to win 30-27 to play the Saints in the Super Bowl. And you're going to ask, who do I have winning that game? I'll take the Saints in a really close game. They have the superior weapons. I think they have the better defense. But that would still be a really good game. But those are my predictions for this week's games. We'll see how it goes. We'll see who plays in the Super Bowl. Of course, I'll make a prediction video then. But I'm your host, Evan, of Into Sports. Have a great day. I'm out. Peace.